Donald Trump is a polarizing figure, but what many don't know is that there are biblical signs that may indicate a much greater meaning behind his journey. In this video, you'll discover the 7 signs hidden in sacred passages that could reveal a surprising purpose behind his rise and global influence. These signs, overlooked by most, connect current events to ancient prophecies in an impressive way. We'll get straight to the point, showing how these revelations might transform your view of the present and future. Watch until the end and see how everything fits together in an unexpected and revealing manner. Share your opinion in the comments. Do you believe these signs are truly the work of God, or do you think they lack biblical significance? If you believe there are other signs, let us know in the comments. Trump is the 45th President of the United States. In Isaiah chapter 45, we find something intriguing. God calls Cyrus, a foreign leader, to fulfill a divine mission. He says, "I am the Lord who called you by name even though you do not know me." This is the first sign that historical parallels may have much to tell us. Cyrus the Great was the king of Persia, an unlikely figure outside the people of Israel. Yet, he was chosen to free the Israelites from captivity in Babylon. His role? To open the doors for their return to Jerusalem and the rebuilding of the temple. What makes this story so unique is that Cyrus was not part of God's people. He didn't follow their traditions or customs, but he was used as a divine instrument to fulfill a greater purpose. God called him anointed, which in itself was rare. He didn't have a deep faith, nor did he know the details of the scriptures, but that didn't matter. What mattered was his position and willingness to act, even without fully understanding the magnitude of what he was doing. He became an essential part of the plan to restore Israel. In this, God demonstrated that he doesn't always choose those who seem most fit in human eyes. He chooses those who can fulfill the purpose. Now think about this. Could there be a parallel between Cyrus and Trump? This is the first sign that stories like the one in Isaiah 45 can repeat themselves. Trump, like Cyrus, is an unlikely leader. A businessman, not a career politician. Without the support of religious elites, he came to power in a surprising way. His path, controversial to many, reflects the unexpected. It's not about being perfect. It's about fulfilling a role in a larger plan. What if Trump, like Cyrus, is being used for something that goes beyond his conscious intentions? God has a history of acting through unlikely leaders. He uses those we least expect. The first sign is clear, a historical parallel that makes us question whether great plans might unfold in the hands of those we would never imagine. Have you ever stopped to think that the greatest movements in history begin in ways no one predicts? Cyrus, a foreigner far from the faith of Israel, was called to free a people and change the fate of nations. Now consider this. What if unlikely leaders like Trump are also being positioned for something much greater? Something that transcends their own understanding? Stories like these invite us to look beyond the surface. It's not about perfection or popular approval, it's about purpose. God has a history of using those no one expects. The question is, are we paying attention to the signs? This connection between past and present doesn't happen by chance. There's something bigger at play, something that perhaps only time will reveal. Donald Trump surprised the world by making a decision many considered unlikely, moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, officially recognizing the city as the capital of Israel. It was an act that went beyond the political sphere, loaded with symbolism and significance. For many, this gesture represented much more than a diplomatic move. It was the second sign of a larger event connected to ancient promises. Jerusalem has always been the spiritual and historical heart of the Jewish people. Mentioned over 800 times in the Bible, it is the place where, according to Scripture, God established his name. Trump's decision seemed to reaffirm this sacred bond, as if saying, "What is written has not been forgotten." For some, the move was seen as the fulfillment of prophecy, as though Trump were playing a role in a divine plan. This act also reignited the flame of millennia-old questions. For those who believe in biblical prophecies, Recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel is more than a political declaration. It's a milestone that may signal the beginning of profound spiritual events. Ezekiel describes the temple in Jerusalem as a symbol of ultimate restoration, while Revelation speaks of a new Jerusalem descending from heaven, heralding a transformed world free of pain and suffering. It was a bold but controversial gesture. While some praise Trump for his audacity and consider him a loyal ally of Israel, others see the act as a risky move, full of political and religious implications. However, for many believers, this was the second sign that something greater is on the horizon, something that links the present to a prophetic past and points toward the future. Jerusalem is not just a place on the map. It is memory, promise, and destiny. By moving the embassy, Trump brought the city to the forefront, sparking deep debates about its spiritual and political significance. For some, it's just geopolitical strategy. For others, it's a clear sign that we are living in extraordinary times. Do you see what's really happening? Jerusalem is not just a city, it's an epicenter of millennia-old stories, a living symbol of something far greater. The embassy move was not merely a political strategy but a spark that reignited promises and prophecies spanning generations. This act carries profound significance, what many consider the second sign of a chain of events that goes beyond geopolitics. It's not just a page of history being written, it's the realization of an enigma pulsating at the heart of time. Jerusalem is at the center of something extraordinary, something that redefines the past and shapes the future. It's no longer about who is watching but about who is understanding. Do you feel the call? History waits for no one. In 2020, the world was turned upside down, and no one expected what happened in the Middle East. Israel and some Arab countries finally took a step together toward peace. Something almost unimaginable until then. This moment was marked by the Abraham Accords, a pact that surprised both optimists and skeptics. And who was behind it? Donald Trump. Yes, him. Not exactly the image of a peace negotiator, but he achieved what many others tried and failed to do. For some, it was just political strategy. For others, it seemed as though something much greater was at play. The name of the agreement was no accident. Abraham, a central figure for Jews, Christians, and Muslims, symbolizes the beginning of everything, a promise of unity and blessing for all the families of the earth. Abraham connects. Abraham unites. He is the father of all these peoples who, despite their differences, share an ancient and meaningful history. Calling the agreement the Abraham Accords was more than a title. It was a powerful message. Of course, not everything is celebratory. Movements like these always bring questions. Many remember that the scriptures speak of times like these, of reconciliation but also uncertainty. The phrase when they say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction will come lingers in the minds of those who believe these events carry prophetic weight. Are we witnessing the beginning of something greater? An event that will change everything? And here comes the third point of reflection, Trump's figure. Why him? How did someone so controversial manage to break a cycle of decades of hostility? He's not the typical leader we imagine for such a task, but he succeeded. For those who believe in something greater, this is no coincidence. Some see his involvement as part of a plan far beyond what we can perceive. The Abraham Accords are a spark of hope that significant moments bring both joy and responsibility. Coincidence? Destiny? Something greater? The world continues to watch. The fourth sign came when Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. Many were in shock. For his supporters, it wasn't just a change in government. It was the beginning of something greater, something uncertain. His departure from the White House seemed to pave the way for a new phase, and it didn't take long to reveal its face. On the other side of the world, Israel made its way back into the headlines. A sacred place for many, but also the epicenter of tensions that never fully disappear. Peace, fragile and unstable, began to crumble. The first signs of war resurfaced, bringing old conflicts to the forefront. But was this really a surprise? Some say it was all foreseen. In the book of Zechariah, we find words that resonate like an echo of the present. Jerusalem will be a heavy stone for all the nations. All who try to move it will be severely injured. Today, Jerusalem is in the spotlight again. Surrounded by uncertainties and threats, it seems to be fulfilling its role on the global chessboard. For many, this isn't just another crisis. It's a reminder that something greater is at play, a plan beyond what we can see. And for those who believe in the power of Scripture, everything makes sense. In Genesis, God promised Abraham, "I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you." This promise is as alive today as it was back then. Israel carries this mark, and what happens there reverberates throughout the entire world. Perhaps Trump's absence opened the door for these difficult times. Maybe it's just a coincidence. But for believers, there is no doubt. The battles of the world are not always just political or military. Some are deeply connected to something greater, something that might just be beginning. What if the events around us are pieces carefully positioned on a chessboard much larger than we can imagine? Jerusalem is not just a location, it's a symbol, an intersection where ancient stories and global decisions collide. What once seemed like a distant echo in the Scriptures now pulses before us as a living warning. When a promise crosses generations like the one made to Abraham, it's no mere coincidence that it resonates to this day. Israel is not just a nation, it's a spiritual and political thermometer, a point of tension that reflects something much larger. And the signs? They don't wait for interpretations. They are there, challenging those with the courage to see. There's something in the air, something that goes beyond headlines and superficial analysis. It's not just about the movements of leaders or the flames of conflict. It's about belonging to a crucial moment in history, an instant where the choices of today will echo into a tomorrow few are prepared to face. The question isn't just what's to come, but where will you be when all of this unfolds? It's time to decide whether you will be a spectator or someone who understands the impact of this new phase. The clock doesn't stop. With every passing moment, we are closer to what has already been promised. And are you ready? It was July 13, 2024, and the scene was a fervent rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Trump, as usual, dominated the stage. He spoke with his usual passion and confidence. Suddenly, he did something almost imperceptible. He slightly turned his head to the right. He wanted to read a sign someone was waving in the crowd. It seemed like a trivial gesture, but it was this movement that changed everything. In the same instant, a shot cut through the air. A fraction of a second. A relentless, swift bullet crossing the distance. It didn't hit Trump directly. It merely grazed his right ear like a warning. Within seconds, the rally turned into chaos. Screams, running, confusion. Amid the stunned crowd, Trump reached for his ear, still processing what had just happened. Hours later, with calm restored and tension still in the air, he made a simple yet powerful comment. "Only God prevented the unthinkable from happening," he wrote on the social media platform X. For many, that was more than luck. It was a sign. Stories of divine protection have been told thousands of times. David escaping Saul's traps. Daniel emerging unharmed from the lion's den. Always with a purpose, always with a message. For those who believe, what happened that day in Butler was yet another proof that there is something greater overseeing everything. Psalm 91 echoes in the minds of those seeking answers. 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. It was as if this promise had come to life in that moment. For many, this incident was more than just a scare. It was a reminder. When there is a divine plan, nothing, not even a bullet, can prevent what's to come. Trump narrowly escaped a certain fate that day in Butler. A deadly shot that could have changed the course of history turned into an event many call miraculous. It was only a graze on his ear, but the impact was profound. Amid the chaos and rush, one phrase echoed and stopped time. Only God prevented the unthinkable. This is the fifth sign. Think of the biblical heroes who defied logic. David against Goliath, Daniel among the lions. Butler entered this list of inexplicable events. What does this mean for those who believe that every detail has a greater purpose? When something greater is at stake, even the fastest bullet has limits. What's coming may change everything. From the beginning, Trump made it clear where he stood on one of the most intense issues of our time: the defense of life from conception. But for many, this was not just a policy, it was a sign. The sixth, to be more precise. Actions speak louder than words, and Trump delivered much more than speeches. He promoted pro-life policies, appointed conservative judges to the Supreme Court, and paved the way for decisions that restricted abortion. Strategy? Perhaps. But for those with spiritual eyes, it seemed like something greater, as if it were written in the margins of time. The biblical view is clear. Life is sacred, a divine gift. Psalm 139 echoes this idea. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. For those who believe, each human being carries a unique purpose. And by acting in favor of this principle, Trump was seen as someone who echoed a spiritual calling. Placing conservative judges wasn't just a political move. It was a declaration. This commitment is not temporary but meant to last. For those who follow the times with a faithful eye, this action seems more like a sign of what's to come. The sixth sign? Perhaps. A message to reflect on what we're living through. A sign that history, in some way, is moving toward what has already been predicted. Are we really just observing political moves, or is something much greater in progress? When decisions impact generations and resonate with spiritual truths, it's no coincidence. It's destiny. Trump, by raising conservative pillars, touched something many overlook: a battle that goes beyond the visible. The calling is not just political but almost prophetic. And the sixth sign? We are living in unique times, where each choice is a milestone in the history unfolding before us. During his presidency, Donald Trump took measures that shook structures. He went beyond promises and placed religious freedom at the forefront. Imagine the impact. Religious organizations gained extra protection and, more than that, access to government resources, all without having to abandon their beliefs. Trump also reignited old debates. He gave a voice to those who want to pray in schools, supported public servants who expressed their faith, and launched bold actions to protect Christian communities persecuted around the world. Jesus said in the Gospel of Matthew, "You are the light of the world. Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven." Many see Trump's actions as a reflection of these words. He challenged political norms and sent a clear and direct message. Faith deserves space, deserves respect, and must not be sidelined. After all, what is being light if not illuminating the paths with courage and purpose? Imagine living in a world where your faith is not just respected but celebrated, where you can express your beliefs without fear or limitations. This is more than politics. It's a revolution of values. Trump challenged the norms, opened new pathways, and sent a strong message: faith cannot be silenced. Now think, what are you doing to be a light in the world? Don't wait to act. The time to defend what matters is now. Be the change, make a difference, because history waits for no one. 7 signs. Some believe they prove something incredible, that Donald Trump may be a choice of God. Intriguing, isn't it? But what about you? What do you think? Do these signs really have biblical support, or are they just another disconnected idea from the scriptures? We want to hear your opinion. After all, when the subject mixes politics and faith, every point of view counts. So what's yours? Let's discover it together. Perhaps these signs are revealing something that few have the courage to face: a greater plan hidden in plain sight that connects faith and leadership in a way that challenges everything we know. Ignoring it would be easy, but what if they are the key to understanding what is to come? What seems impossible today may be what makes sense tomorrow. As the analysis unfolds, intriguing reflections arise. For some, Donald Trump's actions seem to be driven by something greater: almost as if there is a divine force guiding his steps, even though he may not be fully aware of it. For others, it's just historical milestones with no connection to prophecies or spiritual plans. But what if we look a little closer? In the Bible, it's common for unexpected figures to be chosen for important missions. Moses hesitated and struggled to speak. David made serious mistakes. Peter, at a critical moment, denied Jesus 3 times. Yet all of them were central figures in greater stories. With his controversial style and unexpected decisions, could Trump be one of those cases? Israel's role also cannot be ignored. Throughout the scriptures, Israel is seen as the epicenter of major events. Trump's support, recognizing Jerusalem as the capital and negotiating the Abraham Accords, led many to believe that something beyond political decisions is at play. After all, the Bible connects events related to Israel with global transformations. One particular episode stands out. Trump narrowly escaped an incident where his life could have ended by mere inches. The Bible is filled with stories where lives are spared to fulfill important missions. For believers, this could be a clear sign of divine protection. For others, it's simply an impressive stroke of luck. Some of his actions also point to values many consider fundamental. Defending pro-life policies and religious freedom echoes an attempt to preserve principles that many believe are in decline. These choices reignite discussions on morality and spirituality in a world that seems increasingly detached from these themes. There are also those who believe we are living in the final days described in prophecies. Wars, political tensions, and global changes are often associated with signs that something grand is about to unfold. In this context, Trump emerges as a figure who divides opinions. For some, an important actor in a prophetic scenario. For others, just a controversial presence in tumultuous times. And you? How do you interpret these signs? The answers could be found in small coincidences or large events. It depends on how we choose to see them. There's an even more unsettling element that goes unnoticed. A controversial leadership in a world on the brink of profound transformations. It's not just about political decisions, but about how polarizing figures like Trump spark a unique form of collective mobilization. For some, he is a catalyst for forgotten values. For others, a disruptive force challenging the traditional system. But here's what really surprises. What happens when such a figure comes into synergy with critical moments in history? Think of the power words, choices, and symbols have to reactivate deep archetypes, causing even the most skeptical to question if something much greater is being drawn. Have you ever stopped to think about what's happening around us? Amid decisions, events, and influential figures, life seems to invite us to look beyond the obvious. A curious example is Donald Trump. Whether he's chosen or just a controversial figure, it's undeniable that his journey raises questions and challenges beliefs. Is there something greater happening? A connection to a deeper purpose? Or are we just watching a sequence of random events? Think about it. History has always given us signs. It's up to us to notice them. The Bible reminds us of this when it says, "Stay alert, for no one knows the day or the hour." What if this is one of those moments? So, how about reflecting together? Share your vision, debate, and keep your eyes open. After all, what's to come may surprise even the most attentive. Thank you.